Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. The person killed in a traffic collision in Morongo Valley on Friday has been identified as a woman from Joshua Tree. According to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, Ivy Fitzgerald, a 67-year-old resident of Joshua Tree, was killed in the collision on 29 Palms Highway near Rose Eden Drive in Morongo Valley. Preliminary information released by the California Highway Patrol indicates that the collision initially occurred at around 2:20 p.m. Their information revealed that multiple children were involved in the collision and that everyone involved was transported by ambulance to Desert Regional Medical Center in Palm Springs. The CHP has not yet released any additional details about the collision. The Riverside Sheriff's coroner's report indicated that Fitzgerald was declared dead at Desert Regional Medical Center at 3:19 p.m., approximately 1 hour after the collision was reported. Stay tuned for updates on this story. A road rage incident led to an arrest for allegedly brandishing a firearm. On Thursday at around 10:50 a.m., California Highway Patrol officers and deputies from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department responded to the intersection of 29 Palms Highway and Kickapoo Trail in Yucca Valley. Deputies say that there was a road rage incident between two drivers and that the confrontation escalated. Deputies identified one driver as Michael Aboyide, a 24-year-old resident of Yucca Valley. They say Aboyide brandished a .380 caliber pistol during the road rage incident. Deputies contacted Aboyide and took him into custody. Michael Aboyide was arrested on suspicion of brandishing a firearm. He was cited and released at the scene. At last night's city council meeting, a new city manager was appointed for 29 Palms. Annalise Kuiper was there and joins us with this report.
In 2024, the selection process to appoint a new city manager was brought down to two candidates, and Dr. Stone James was ultimately chosen to fill the position. Kevin Cole was the second of the two candidates. Recently, Dr. James resigned from his city manager position. Rather than begin a whole new recruitment process, Kevin Cole was approached to ascertain if he was still interested in the position. A subcommittee was formed composed of Mayor Mintz and Council Member Bilderain in order to negotiate an employment agreement with Mr. Cole. Currently, Cole is employed by Copper Mountain Community College District and plans to conclude that employment as of May 15, 2026, to begin as city manager directly thereafter. Mr. Cole's base pay will be the same as all city department heads, namely $186,000 annually. Here, Mayor Mintz describes the process by which Kevin Cole was selected.
All five of us interviewed Kevin, and it was recommended that we offered him a contract. Kevin is an excellent candidate for the city manager position. He's familiar with the city, and he's been on the council here and has worked with the city for 10 years, and I believe he's on the council for two terms, which would have been 8 or 9 years. 9 years. Well, he was with the city, responsible for a lot of important projects. He was a project manager up here. He worked directly with the city manager several times, and then he also provided technical expertise for local infrastructure, and obviously he was a recreational supervisor and a project manager. He left the city and went to work for Copper Mountain College because he wanted to get a department head experience, specifically because he wanted to be in a position to be qualified to come back to the city as its manager. After the city interview, we all agreed that we had a great choice for the city manager, voted 5-0 and offered him the job subject to working out an employment agreement that we could all agree on, which was approved in open session tonight.
Meeting attendees expressed their approval for Kevin Cole's appointment to 29 Palms City Manager. Many also expressed their appreciation for outgoing City Manager Dr. Stone James. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Annalise Kuiper.
Are you a Yucca Valley resident with a shipping container on your property? There may be big changes you must comply with to blend with your neighborhood's aesthetic. Reporter Gabriel Hart has details on a resolution that the Yucca Valley Planning Commission is expected to adopt at tonight's meeting.
The ongoing issue of shipping containers in residential areas is expected to be discussed at tonight's Yucca Valley Planning Commission meeting. The board has recommended to adopt a resolution establishing that any shipping container on a residential property of less than 2.5 acres must have architectural treatment consistent with the primary residence. In other words, these containers must blend in with the home's overall aesthetic, be attached to a permanent foundation, and avoid being seen as an incongruent cargo shell. Finally, town staff will provide the Planning Commission with an update on developments around town. The meeting begins at 6 p.m. in the Yucca Room at the Yucca Valley Community Center. You can find a link to the full agenda and remote meeting instructions at a link at the story at Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Gabriel Hart.
A local organization is calling for stronger support for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, and they're warning that critical funding may be at risk. Reporter Hillary Sloan attended a community event thrown by Partners Against Violence yesterday and has more.
Community members, law enforcement, advocates, and local leaders gathered on Monday, April 27th, for an event hosted by Partners Against Violence. The focus was both practical and urgent: how to help survivors navigate the system and ensure those services remain available in the future. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Captain Steve Scoville says many victims are overwhelmed the moment they try to take action. He explains how PAV supports the process.
Anytime there's a domestic violence situation, they help them out with obtaining restraining orders, which can be very confusing.
Inside the courtroom, prosecutors say their work depends heavily on that kind of support. Deputy District Attorney Heather Razuk told the crowd that survivors carry the real burden of the justice process.
But the reality is, we have the easy job. We rely heavily on organizations like Partners Against Violence. The survivors have the hardest job. We ask them to come, we ask them to confront the person that attacks them. We ask a lot.
But those services may be at risk. Speakers highlighted a proposed 45% reduction in federal funding for the Victims of Crime Act, VOCA, which supports victim services nationwide. For survivors, that funding can mean the difference between getting help or being left on their own. If you or someone you know needs help, Partners Against Violence provides confidential support and resources throughout the Morongo Basin. For Z107.7 News, this is reporter Hillary Sloan.
The 29 Palms Youth Council is hosting an astronomy night focused on the search for alien life. You can join Joshua Tree National Park astronomy rangers as they present Where Are All the Aliens? Participants will observe the night sky through Sky is the Limit's Celestron 14-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. The event is held in partnership with the Joshua Tree National Park, Joshua Tree Astronomy Adventures, and Sky's the Limit Observatory. The event is happening at the observatory on May 8th. It's free to all local youth and their families, but the 29 Palms Youth Council asks that you register in advance at a link in this story at z1077fm.com. And finally, the 29 Palms High School boys varsity tennis team traveled to Indio for the Desert Valley League individual finals. In singles action, Giovanni Davia played a tough match but lost in the first round. Adonai Patu won in the first round and moved on to the second. Jeremy Burks also won in the first round but had to play Adonai in the semifinals. Jeremy won and will be in the finals on Tuesday. Adonai will play for third place on Tuesday. In doubles action, Seth Paris and Joshua Dason lost in the first round. The team of Adan Sanchez and Colin McGrory-Weir played a tough match but lost in the first round. The team of Shad Johnson and Michael Acosta won in the first round and won in the second round to make it to the finals today. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.